People who grew up in the 1970s carry a kind of strength that doesn't demand attention. They learned early how to survive noise by becoming quiet, and how to handle chaos by appearing calm. Their childhood wasn't shaped by softness, it was shaped by resilience, independence, and a world that rarely asked how they felt. They were raised in an era where emotions were silent, problems were handled privately, and children were expected to just deal with it. So they grew into adults who don't crumble easily, but they also struggle to share their pain. They became self-reliant not because it felt empowering, but because they had no other choice. And even today, you can see the echoes of that upbringing in the way they stay composed during conflict, in the way they carry burdens quietly, and in the way they protect others more than they protect themselves. Their childhood didn't just teach them how to grow up, it taught them how to endure. Growing up in the 1970s meant living in a world that didn't revolve around children's emotions. It was a time when survival skills were taught quietly, not through lessons, but through the realities of daily life. People who were raised in that era learned early that comfort wasn't always available, so they created their own strength to fill the gaps. They were shaped by homes where vulnerability wasn't encouraged, where apologies were rare, and where expressing feelings was often mistaken for weakness. So they adapted by becoming their own emotional guardians. They learned independence not as a preference, but as a requirement. This generation carries a psychology built from contrast, discipline mixed with distance, love mixed with silence, responsibility mixed with self-denial. And because the world didn't slow down for them, they learned never to ask it to. The core concept is simple. Their childhood created adults who feel safest when they're self-sufficient, who downplay their needs, and who often struggle to receive the same care they naturally give to others. Their strength didn't grow from stability, it grew from necessity. People who grew up in the 1970s often developed a survival-first mindset, because the emotional world around them rarely offered softness or reassurance. They learned early that comfort wasn't guaranteed, so they trained themselves to become strong before they ever learned how to feel safe. Their nervous system adapted to unpredictability, becoming alert, steady, and capable long before they were truly ready. They also grew up in homes where emotional privacy was the norm, where problems were handled quietly, behind closed doors, and where children were expected to be resilient without being taught how. This made them excellent at enduring pain, but not always at understanding it. They internalized the idea that speaking up was unnecessary, and that needing help was a sign of weakness. Because affection in the 1970s was often practical rather than emotional, many learned to equate love with responsibility, not warmth. So as adults, they show care through actions, protection, and reliability, yet they struggle with emotional expression, receiving comfort, or admitting when something hurts. Vulnerability feels unsafe, even when the people around them mean well. Psychologists would describe their patterns as self-reliance, shaped by emotional scarcity. They learned to be the steady one, the problem solver, the helper, because that was how they earned security in childhood. But this often comes with quiet wounds, difficulty trusting others, discomfort with being cared for, and a lifelong habit of minimizing their own emotions. Their strength is real, but so is the loneliness beneath it. And many don't realize they're still living through the emotional rules of their childhood. Stay strong, stay quiet, don't need too much, don't expect softness. It is a psychology built on endurance, shaped in a world that didn't slow down, didn't explain itself, and didn't always protect the child who was watching. People shaped by a 1970s childhood often carry a unique blend of resilience and restraint. They grew up in a world where independence wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. Many learned early to self-regulate, to handle emotions quietly, and to adapt without asking for much support. Yet beneath that strength, they developed a deep sensitivity to stability, loyalty, and predictability. They value structure because they remember what life felt like without it. They guard their emotions because vulnerability wasn't always safe or welcomed. This generation tends to read people well, stay calm under pressure, and solve problems with a practical mindset. But they may also struggle with expressing needs, trusting emotional support, or breaking patterns learned in survival mode childhoods. Their psychology is a mixture of toughness, earned through experience, and tenderness that was never fully given space to grow. In the end, people shaped by a 1970s childhood carry more than memories, they carry adaptations. The quiet strength, the independence, the emotional restraint, all of it formed long before they ever understood why. And while those patterns once kept them safe, many now realize they're allowed to outgrow the old rules. They're allowed to need support, to speak their truth, to trust softness without fearing it. Their story isn't just about how the past shaped them, it's about how they continue shaping themselves, with more awareness, more compassion, and more freedom than they ever had as children.